falsely.
Yeah, well, it was absolutely heart-wrenching testimony that we just saw, and it just reminded me of going through all that in 2020. These were not public officials, right? Is bad enough when our publicly elected officials and high-ranking politicians get targeted with this sort of vitriol. These were just rank-and-file election staffers, the cogs of our democracy, the people working in elections offices to make sure that we have timely and accurate election results. And they were being accused by Rudy Giuliani and other Trump allies, in terms of Rudy Giuliani, in a legislative hearing in the Georgia Capitol, of doing something nefarious. And as you mentioned, there was no sort of USB drive. It was a ginger that Ruby Freeman and Shea Moss were passing to one another.
So let's talk about this case then, Ken, and the liability now that Rudy Giuliani faces and why he's facing it. He wouldn't produce documents for discovery. He says, well, the FBI took my phone. I don't have access to a lot of that stuff. Why didn't he provide that information, and what happens from here? What are some of the consequences?
They're huge, Willie. And first of all, I should just say, this is such a profound example of the human impact of these election lies. Really the most egregious that we've seen. And we can all hear the racist overtones in the allegations that were made against these women. And Judge Howell, here in Washington, D.C., he was refusing to engage in what's known as civil discovery, where if someone sues you, the judge rules the suit is legitimate, and you have to start turning over documents, including secret financial documents. And he just wouldn't do it. And so finally, she gave him extension after extension, and finally she imposed really what is the ultimate penalty, which is that she entered a judgment saying that he was essentially liable for defamation, for civil conspiracy.
Pay less for gas, then hit the road. Fueled by sweet savings on each gallon. Just use the phone number registered to your rewards account when you fuel up to redeem your rewards and save money at the pump.
Conspiracy and for punitive damages. And there were a couple of really interesting lines in her ruling that I wanted to read to you. She said, just as taking shortcuts to win an election carries risks, even potential criminal liability, bypassing the discovery process carries serious sanctions. And she also said, donning a cloak of victimization may play well on a public stage to certain audiences, but in the court of law, this performance has only served to subvert the normal process of discovery. So the bottom line here is that these women do not have to prove their case anymore. It's proven. It's been established. Now there will be a trial about how much money Rudy Giuliani has to pay them. And he already owes them $90,000, according to this judge, for their legal fees. So it's a big blow to Mr. Giuliani. Of course, it's one of a long line of things that he's facing, including criminal liability. There are reports he's got a debt of $3 million in legal fees. So his life essentially is falling apart. He's losing his license to practice law. But just add this to the list of legal woes for Rudy Giuliani.
So, Greg, let's talk about some of those other legal woes. He, of course, was just indicted a few days ago about that in that matter in Georgia. Esti Fall from Grace Indeed for a man wants to lose America as mayor. So talk to us a little bit about how this matter in Georgia, this case here with the finding that he defamed these two election workers, what could that impact the criminal trial that he faces also as well?
Yeah, this is front page news in Georgia because it hits obviously so close to home. Those allegations, those lies, conspiracy theories that Rudy Giuliani promoted doing 3 separate hearings, 2 in person, 1 virtual, in the Georgia state capitol in December 2020 were kind of at the root of all of this. He is being accused of being part of this far-reaching criminal enterprise that Finding Willis laid out.
One of me, he making fun of me. His girl is a bone of me. Like that boy is a cat. He let me home, but I know where he at. Like, so I tell him it's one of me. He making
primary opponents. There is another new survey out that suggests the former president could be in serious trouble if he's on the ballot in next year's general election. Joining us now with an analysis of those numbers is former federal prosecutor Ankush Kaduri. He is a contributing writer for New York Magazine and Political Magazine. Also with us, political reporter Alex Isaac. His latest reporting is on Trump's record-breaking fundraising after his booking and mugshot last week, which we'll get to in just a moment. Ankush, but let's start with you. Tell us about these poll numbers you're seeing, and what's your analysis? Is there more here than which appears to be on the surface?
Yeah, so I think for today, Mike, there are a few important things to keep in mind. One is, we asked respondents whether they want Jack Smith's federal election or case to go to trial before next November, and we got a very robust 60% roughly result of those saying it should go to trial before next November. And then in terms of sort of below the top lines, right, we become used to, half the country thinks Trump committed serious crimes, he may be guilty, that sort of thing. But we saw some new movement in these figures in our latest poll. 50% of folks said that he should go to prison if he's convicted in the January 6th Justice Department case, which is the highest number we've seen so far in our small number of surveys. And then I think the reaction of independents to all of these questions, I think, goes pretty poorly for Trump in a general election setting. I think, again, we're seeing a pretty significant amount of interest on the part of independents who are taking these cases and reacting quite negatively to learning about Trump. I think as these cases proceed, particularly if they go to trial, they're going to be learning more negative things about Trump as he's running for re-election.
And of course, that's part of this, right? Is that's the case the Democrats are making, is that they're saying, well, we don't actually need in our campaign to talk about Trump's legal issues because they're going to saturate the media. It's going to be day in, day out, negative headline, negative headline. Next year, he's going to be dashing from courtroom to rally site back to courtroom. And it's those independents that you're highlighting are so often those that decide elections, really close elections, and our last few presidential elections certainly have been that. So is that the theory of the case here, is that by this time next year, Trump's numbers of independents might be so low were he to be the nominee, that he'd have a very hard time winning in November?
I mean, that does seem to be the Democrats' theory of the case, and the White House's theory of the case. I think that the major point of caution here is that, what our analysis shows is that, these cases, these indictments, they are not helping Trump, despite what he claims, at least in a general election setting, and maybe they're pulling him down, possibly even in the Republican primary, but certainly they're going to be a drag on in the general election. However, the major caveat here is that as people are considering a head-to-head challenge between Biden and Trump, this is not going to be the only issue that guides their votes next year, right? The economy, foreign policy, to the extent people are concerned about that. So, even at the same time, we're seeing some initial signs of this, some of the drag numbers. It's hard to say what will happen between now and next November as voters consider the entire constellation of issues that may be relevant to informing their voters.
You will destroy about this $7 million, $7.2 million, what you call that, as this develops, do you think every time there's a major step toward trial or a major step toward whatever is going to happen on the calendar in these four cases, that he's going to continue to have a bump up in fundraising? And if so, that fundraising also keeps him in these campaigns, even if he's in a courtroom, that can keep him buying spots on television and social media. In other words, in this campaign, more and more is getting this kind of reaction in terms of fundraising as we see more developments in these legal.
That's for sure.
If past is president, then the answer to that question is yes. His campaign has been able to really turn these legal cases into cold-hard cash. They've been able to sell these indictments, turn them into merch, find ways to appeal to supporters, and get them to open up their wallets and really able to connect with supporters in terms of their support for him, their anger at what they feel is like an unfair legal system. And it's worked in terms of helping Trump fill his war chest. And if you look at his fundraising over the course of this year, a lot of it has been driven by small donors who want to get behind the former president, and help him out. Now, some of this money is going towards his campaign, as you referenced, running TV ads, etc. But some of it's also going towards his political action committee, which is paying his legal costs. And so there's sort of double benefit here for Trump, right? On the one hand, you get help in terms of running his campaign. On the other hand, you get help in terms of paying your lawyers.
Alex, can we just be clear on the $7 million? This is obviously coming from the Trump campaign. Are we pretty confident those numbers, that this is actually what it is?
That's what they're reporting. We'll be able to get a clearer sense of all the fundraising numbers that the Trump campaign has from these indictments when the next quarterly filings come out. The third quarter filing period ends the end of September.
We didn't, we had a sort of big bump in fundraising for him after the New York indictment, the Alvin Bragg one, but then the next two didn't lead to such a big bump in fundraising. Is this just, do you think, because of the merch that's been around the mugshot, or do you think are we going to see an uptick in trend here? We're going to go back to what it was like after Alvin Bragg?
Well, the merch clearly played a very significant role in his fundraising windfall, and Trump's fundraising windfall this past week. Just the fact that there was an image, something that could be put on T-shirts and mugshots and coffee mugs, that really spiked fundraising, gave people something to buy and something to purchase. And in fact, it's not just the Trump campaign that's really seized on this mugshot to make money. You're also seeing other organizations, like, for example, Barstool Sports, the popular sports website, that's basically been doing its own T-shirts. And so this has really become a big money machine over the past 4 or 5 days. And this mugshot
in a letter on Thursday, Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan ordered Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis surrounding their actions very an attorney, Josh Stanton, he served as counsel at Perry Law. Previously was co-director of the practice clinic at Vanderbilt Law, in addition to serving as a public defender in Memphis. So, Mr. Stanton, let me ask you, titled, Jim Jordan is abusing his power. Fani Willis should call for the blog. In it, you write this: if the Fani Willis request was the first of Jordan's misfires, he might be entitled to more benefit of the doubt. But his shenanigans here come on top of a litany of previous dubious deeds and misuse of his office over the years that call into question his fitness for the office he holds. Willis should call Jordan's bluff and remind him of those words here, and that as Supreme Court has put it, the national government, anxious though it may be to vindicate and protect federal rights and federal interests, always endeavors to do so in ways that will not unduly interfere with the legitimate activities of the states. Quote, if it comes to litigation, the courts will see through Jordan's efforts for the distracting and partisan political theatrics they are. Be careful balancing ever since our nation in the decade following this is not one. So, Josh, let me start by asking you whether DA Fani Willis has any obligation to respond to these requests from Jim Jordan, from the Oversight Committee. Does she have any obligation to turn over documents as she tries to do her job in Atlanta?
Well, at the moment, she's actually just received a letter from Jim Jordan. So, at the moment, she hasn't received a subpoena, and she wouldn't be under any legal obligation to turn it over, even if the subpoena would be enforceable. If she ends up getting a subpoena, I think the law is clear that she wouldn't need to turn over documents even under those circumstances. I was a public defender. I'm currently a criminal defense attorney, and I can't tell you the number of times I wish I could have gone to a federal court or even to Congress and said, hey, this is unfair that my client who's innocent, who's done nothing wrong, is being prosecuted here. And it's just the case that in a state court, the federal government, either federal courts, Congress, they just don't have a place to be able to come in and step in and request documents and try to figure out what's going on in the head of the local prosecutor, whether it's fair or not. And Rev, as Josh writes, this is a tactic that Jim Jordan, the Oversight Committee, used previously with Alvin Bragg in the Manhattan DA's office in the Stormy Daniels case. This is an intervention on behalf of Donald Trump.
And I think that it is clear, and I would like Josh to address it, that we're really seeing, as they talk about the weaponizing of the Justice Department with no evidence, they're weaponizing Congress in areas that it really had no business even being in. And if you allow that to continue, you would have Congress people decide to do their politics by committee summons or subpoenas or by committee inquiries, which really undermines the whole process of law at a state level or even a federal level, John.
Right, exactly. Basically what this is taking what is really a routine state prosecution, and we can view, again, whether that's fair or not, in so many state prosecutions against individual defendants we may have different views about, but really Congress just has no place to question the individual judgment of an individual prosecutor in an individual case. There might be Congress has a place that
that bitch got me. That's what's up. That's how to fuck you up, though. Oh my God, we know. What the fuck is this shit?
Welcome back, guys. Hope you will enjoy today's video. Please stay safe.
He playing with that pussy.
Wow, dude. Road race, you got game on here. Holy crap.
Is that how they got pulled out in the middle of the thing? Like, they should have, like, get one and then merge over.
Yeah, I don't think they got that.
You know how many people are in accidents every morning because of this?
It's stupid.
Because God forbid if there's a car without what its lights on or anything, like, you're not going to see.
Well,
And accident. On my dash cam. Hold on a minute. She just rear-ended him. Yeah, hold on. Watch it.
I don't think they're okay.
Yeah, they're fine.
Uh-oh. I don't see that.
So he's a taxi driver, right? Crying in front of the door. I'm not gonna reverse. So, no. I put you on camera. So, next time respect the law. I put it on the video. No, I don't care. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
I think that's where the mission.
No, I have no ammo. That's fucked up. Ah, how did that?
I got his phone number because I just recorded the guy.
The fuck, dude? Tubi, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Jeez, a fucking pity.